My name is Ethan Reed, and for too long, I've carried a darkness that's eaten away at me, a secret that's twisted my nights into torment and my days into a haze of dread. The panic attacks, the way my hands shake at the sound of sirens, the nightmares that drag me back to that place, they've haunted me for decades. My wife, Clara, has borne the brunt of my silences and sudden rages, pleading with me to talk, to let it out. But words always seemed too weak to capture the horror. It was my daughter, Lily, who pushed me to write it down, to purge it like poison from a wound. She set up this online journal, a quiet corner of the internet where I can finally unburden myself. I'm not sure I can do justice to the terror that reshaped me, but I'll try. The world knows a sanitized version, a failed psychological study, a cautionary tale about power and human nature. But the truth, the raw and unspeakable truth, is known only to the 9 of us who endured it and the researchers who let it spiral into madness. This is my story of the 6 days in 1973 when I stepped into the basement of Eldridge University, thinking it was just a job, and came out forever changed. It began with a flyer tacked to a bulletin board in the student lounge, its edges curling from the damp air of a rainy spring. Eldridge's psychology department was seeking volunteers for a study on institutional dynamics, offering $18 a day for up to 2 weeks, real money for a broke philosophy major like me, scraping by on instant noodles and library jobs. I was 21, brimming with dreams of writing something profound, but my wallet was empty. A friend had done a similar gig, some survey nonsense, and walked away with cash for doing little more than talking. Easy money, he'd said, tossing me a beer. I figured it'd be a lark, maybe even fuel for a novel. I ripped off the flyer's contact tab, called from a payphone, and snagged an interview slot. The building was a crumbling annex on the edge of campus, ivy choking its walls, windows dark like closed eyes. Inside, the air smelled of dust and antiseptic, heavy with the weight of secrets. The screening was a slog, days of questions that felt like traps. Grad students in starched coats asked about my childhood, my fears, my run-ins with authority. Ever feel trapped? One probed, his pen hovering. I laughed, spinning a yarn about sneaking out past curfew in high school. Ink blot tests stirred unease, shadowy shapes that looked too much like faces. They took blood, checked my pulse, and poked at my psyche with questionnaires designed to weed out the unstable. I passed, or so they said, with a curt, "You're in." I left the annex buzzing with pride, like I'd cracked a code. Back in my dingy apartment, I sprawled on the couch with a stack of sci-fi novels, the summer sun slanting through cracked blinds. Life seemed ripe with promise, blind to the nightmare waiting just beyond the horizon. The morning it started, August 19, 1973, sirens tore me from sleep, shrill and relentless. My door splintered open, and 2 cops stormed in, badges flashing like accusations. "Ethan Reed, you're under arrest for burglary," one barked, yanking my arms back. My heart pounded. Had I done something in a blackout? But as cold cuffs snapped shut, it clicked. This was the experiment start. They'd warned of immersive roleplay, but nothing prepped me for the fear spiking my veins. They shoved me against the squad car, frisking me with rough hands as neighbors gawked from windows. The drive was a blur, city streets smearing past. At the station, it got worse. Fingerprints smudged in ink, mug shots under glaring lights, a strip search that left me raw and exposed. Then came the blindfold, a thick cloth stealing light and sound. They pushed me into a cell, the door clanging shut. Alone, time stretched endless, my breaths loud in the silence, every creak a threat. Hours later, or was it minutes? The door groaned open. Footsteps shuffled closer, uneven, dragging, paired with a wet, rasping breath that made my skin crawl. Clammy hands seized my arm, pulling me up. "Move, filth." A voice hissed, not quite human, its tone laced with malice. I stumbled forward, blind, the air turning damp and cold. Its breath hit my neck, reeking of rot, like something long dead. I nearly screamed when another voice cut through. "Last one?" "Yeah," the thing rasped. "All here?" Laughter followed, cold and mocking. Shoved into a vehicle, I brushed against others. Fellow prisoners, I guessed. I whispered to the guy beside me. "What's happening?" A shout from the front. "Shut it or regret it." Silence clamped down as we drove, the engine's drone a cruel tease of normalcy. We stopped at what I assumed was the university basement. The blindfold came off in a stark corridor, fluorescence buzzing overhead. 2 guards in crisp uniforms stood watch, no sign of the creature that brought me. They stripped me again, hands probing, then sprayed me with a delousing chemical that stung my eyes and burned my throat. Coughing, tears streaming, I pulled on a flimsy gown and a cap that flattened my hair. I was 742 now, my name erased. Blindfolded once more, they marched me and 2 others to our cell, a concrete box with 3 cots, a bucket for waste, and bars on the door. I took the back cot, thankful for the buffer. My cellmates, 513 and 629, exchanged wary glances but no words. Talking was banned. We sat in tense silence, the air thick with dread. Food came through a slot, lumpy gruel that tasted like despair. As night fell, no clocks to mark time, I tried to sleep, but random counts woke us, guards barking for our numbers. The real terror came in the dark. The cell door creaked, and that rasping breath returned, footsteps lurching. Peeking through half-closed eyes, I saw it over 513 nearest the door. It looked like a guard, uniform, sunglasses, but then its jaw split, cracking open to reveal jagged teeth. A fat, forked tongue slithered out, glistening, tracing 513's arm before plunging into his ear with a wet squelch. His eyes flew open, terror carved into his face, pupils tiny and wide whites. He didn't scream, couldn't, but the horror was raw. A distant door slammed, and it snapped back to human form, leaving silently. My gut twisted. This wasn't part of any study. We whispered frantically, ripping off our number tags, piling cots against the door, a flimsy shield. Sounds from other cells echoed our panic. Someone else had seen it. We huddled, hearts racing, waiting for dawn. Morning brought a new shift, furious at our rebellion. The creature trailed them, its human guise barely masking rage. We taunted from behind our barricade, laughing at the night shift's failure. They stormed off, arguing, but it lingered, pulling down shades to show mirrored eyes reflecting my fear. A wink promised worse to come. They returned with fire extinguishers, blasting foam that burned our skin, forcing us back. They tore through, pinning us. The creature, Victor Kane, a name that tainted a childhood hero, slammed me against the wall, stripping my gown, breath like sulfur. "Be smart or hurt worse," it whispered. Punishments grew. No food, no water, solitary for 513 and me. In that black closet, his sobs turned to rage, fists bloodying walls. Back in the cell, his eyes shone like mirrors, voice hollow, no escape. Guards took him to the head researcher. Victor followed, ensuring silence. He returned chanting, "Trapped forever," gaze piercing. That night, 513 broke. Screaming, clawing his skin, blood streaking. Victor passed, laughing, a sound like breaking glass. My rage boiled. This thing was a predator, and we were prey. They dragged 513 away, replaced him with a naive newcomer, 417. Non-rebels got privileges. Clean cells, real food, showers. We hated them, strutting under Victor's lead, but pity crept in. They were his now. Night shift came, Victor ever present. He signaled, guards unlocked, battening me down, blood pooling from my lip. Silent, they beat us, faces blank. Victor watched, smirking cruelly. The assault spread. In the privileged cell, 3 screams rang out, wet and final. Feeding. I blacked out. Day 3, dragged out, head pounding. Privileged prisoners emerged as husks, pale, vacant, eyes mirrored. Victor swapped cells, mocking, "Time for the good life." Day guards forced endless exercises, push-ups, jacks, until muscles screamed. Falling meant kicks, a unified more. Visiting day came. They scrubbed us, hiding bruises with sleeves. Victor shaved me, razor grazing, whispering, "Tell, and your family pays." Seeing my parents, I nearly broke, but fear silenced me. Mom saw my hollowness. Victor cut in, goading Dad's pride. They left, I sobbed. Across the hall, mirrored eyes stared. Day 4, cellmates at bars, Victor raging. Escape plot, he roared, a lie. Waste buckets dumped, filth soaking us, stench gagging. Blamed as ringleader, I faced a chant. 742 bad, cells a mess. Even allies' eyes turned reflective. Victor pinned me, tongue probing, choking. Blackness took me. I woke to Dr. Harlan's voice. Your Ethan's safe. Sunlight hit, payment sealed my silence. The study ended soon after. I dropped out, went home, built a life, but nightmares linger. Mirrors show his eyes, I'm his. The years since have been a battle. Home with parents, I slept for weeks, but dreams brought Victor back. His tongue, his gaze. Therapy helped with the surface, PTSD, but I hid the supernatural. Claire met at a book club, brought light. We built a family, but shadows clung. A letter arrived once, no sender, just a photo of us prisoners, eyes hollow with "he sees" scrawled. I burned it, but fear grew. Online whispers spoke of deaths, eyes missing. Tom, 513, died in a crash, mirrors shattered. Paranoia took root, I locked doors, checked shadows. Lily's push for this journal gave purpose. Writing, I relive it to warn you. Feel the chill, the eyes watching. Is Victor out there hunting still? Childhood fears foreshadowed. Shadows in closets, eyes like ink. College was freedom, debates, laughter, until the flyer. Screening stirred unease. One image, a fractured face, echoed old nightmares. Arrest, sirens like banshees, cuffs biting. Station, flashbulbs harsh, searches degrading. Blindfold, fabric suffocating. Victor's grip, cold, rum. Transport, bodies pressed, fear thick. Basement, air musty. Spray, acid on skin. Gown, shame raw. Cell, walls closing. Tom's hope, Mike's defiance, both faded. Night, jaw crack, tongue pulsing. Barricade, cots scraping, unity brief. Foam, lungs burning. Breach, strength unnatural. Solitary, void crushing. Tom's eyes, mirrors now. Breakdown, screams raw. Hurts, envy bitter. Beatings, blows precise. Feeding, sounds wet, final. Exercises, agony relentless. Shave, razor cold, threat sharp. Visit, hugs heavy. Waist, filth warm, chant hypnotic. Tongue, violation deep. Release, sunlight blinding, payment dirty. Post-study, home a refuge, but mirrors betray. Library job, solace in books. Clara, love healing. Family, joy shadowed. Letter, terror renewed. Deaths, patterns chilling. Journal, truth spilling, suspense holding. You're with me now, in that basement, feeling the dread. What lurks in your shadows?